Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We know what's going on with the markets. We understand that there's a little bit of stagnation and a little bit of a pump yesterday. But today, what I want to take a look at is the future. And the future, I think, is, first of all, multi-chain. I think the killer app for crypto is payments. And I think the future is to get out of the old traditional finance and banking system. And to help me do that, I've got Marcos Nunes from Tangem Pay to come here and talk about it. Marcos, welcome to the show for this first time, I think, right?
Yes, first time. Well, thank you, Rob. Thank you for having us here, and thank you everyone for watching us. Hopefully, we become interesting enough in the audience.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, when we were talking offline about what Tangem is trying to do, because when I think of Tangem, I just think of the card, the vault, safety. But when we were talking about the things you guys are trying to do for Q1, Q2, now I see the bigger vision. And I think it's important that people get the vision and we talk about pay. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first of all, let's just say this. This is the market today. This is for posterity. If we're going in the future, today we're looking at November 25th, 25th. And Bitcoin's price, 86,000. We had a nice little pump yesterday. Ethereum's up a little bit. XRP, 4.5%. BNB, 843. So to get into Tangem Pay, I think we have to back up real quick and just take a look at why are payments so important. Payments are important globally. I know some people take a look at it and say, well, in America, we just use cash or we use our debit card or Visa card. But crypto payments, I think, are a bigger thing than what people realize. And it's not just me thinking that way. It's, of course, Tangem. And, of course, one of the big players in the space, Visa, has been tracking this for quite some time. I've been talking about this for, I don't know, a year or so, about as far as payments go. We can see that it is a up and to the right type of transaction system. Stablecoin transaction volume by blockchain, as of last month, October, hit a total of $1.52 trillion. And that's only going up. And for me, I always take a look at the rails, and I always talk about the best, which is Binance, Ethereum, Solana, and Tron. Ethereum and layer 2s, I think, will do pretty darn great. So we're talking about payments to make things easier. These are the stable coins, or this is USDC and Tether, and the rails itself. But to make this easy, because if you've ever tried to use like a Ethereum stable coins, not so great. It's kind of cumbersome, and it's a little bit tricky. And if you're using the wrong layer 2, things get a little wonky. BNB, Solana, and so on and so forth. So Marcos, talk to us about Tangem Pay and where you guys are going. And we can do this either way. Talk about the vision or just talk to us about Tangem Pay and how that all works.
Yeah. I will allow me to go a little bit on what we discussed just prior, what Tangem is and where Tangem is going. So people, don't look at us as just that hardware wallet or that very tacky product. I mean, if you look at the essence of Tangem, the main value of the business is that we always try to be simple and for the less sophisticated user or the upcomers in crypto, you don't need to remember seed phrases. You don't need to understand much of blockchains. You essentially tap a card behind your phone, you download the app, and then you can create an authentication, and within minutes you are actually ready to go with the most safe or secure instrument to store your digital assets. And the way I like to make a parallel is, as we are a Swiss company, 200 years back, when people with wealth all over the world, they wanted to store in a safe location, they would fly to Switzerland, bring their wealth, put it in Switzerland, they would get a key, the manager would get another key, and then together we'll close the vault. And then, you knew that money would not be touched by anyone because you had a key. And to take it out, it needed that key. 200 years later is kind of the same concept, but with that first key with the manager actually no longer is in need of or it exists. So, and what happened in Switzerland at one point was you had the wealth, but it was depreciating in value. So it needed to be connected to the local economy. And then later on, generating means of growing the money that was sitting there and subsequently access. So how do I, don't have to go all the way to Switzerland to access my cash? So it's kind of, again, very simple parallel. But if you look at Tangem, it's kind of a similar vision. We started with the most safe instrument for you to keep your funds in a simple mechanism, so you just can use it. And then subsequently to that, we start offering staking, swapping, and different services for you not to get out of the secure environment that you are used to. And then from there is, how do I now can spend on my day-to-day, not my wealth, but a portion of it, because that's what I need to live or to pay my groceries or to do the supermarket. So Tangem Pay is just the natural evolution to create that simplicity or that easiness for the user to go from its wealth to the spending in same environment, no bureaucracy. Within minutes, you are ready to go. Still respecting regulation, still respecting the local authorities, regardless of where you are in the world, but obviously giving the convenience. We understand our user, so we know how to help our user get that access.
Excellent. Perfectly said. The thing that I want to touch on was when you booked this appointment with me to talk about this, and I was looking at Tangem, and I said, I was like, okay, Marcos is coming on, and we've got, Tangem is great as a vault. Why are they moving to Tangem Pay? We've got all these different payment options. What is the bigger play? Is it just, to be in there, to be a part of this, payment service for crypto? And who's really going to use their crypto for payments? Because like we talked about, I was saying, like people just want to hold on to it and then have it go up in value, and then essentially sell it and then dump on people, or excuse me, to sell off to the next generation of investors. That's the correct way to say it. But when we talked in the beginning, I think it's a bigger vision. So I'm glad you're here, because when I saw, okay, we have payments, and now, like you said, okay, now we have staking. Well, first of all, it's vault. It's essentially being able to like custody it in a safe way. Then it's about staking and yield, and then it's about payments, and then it's about perhaps loans, and perhaps being a full stack bank, if I could say it like that. Is that?
Yes.
So talk to us about that before we get into Tangem Pay itself, because this is, I think we're in the middle. We're like in the third, fourth inning until we get to the ninth inning. Very
good. So maybe if we go one step back, what is, this concept of banking, right? If you want to do bank, if you want to become a banker, in most geographies in the world, it will take you, 3, 4, 5 years, lots of investments, lots of papers, bureaucracy. It's incredibly difficult. And I mean, and I think in one hand, there's definitely protectionism from those that are already there, but there's also just, legacy, lack of understanding that makes it just difficult. So I look always from the more positive side. I think in general, they would love to have more banks. They just don't know how to deal with them. And then they kind of make it very difficult for you to get there. Well, what happens is that with the on-chain world, we have created banks. We don't call it like that because we're not allowed to call like that. But essentially, what is it? The concept of bank is basically, storing, is growing the money that you have and accessing for payment. And then every time you want to have a loan or a credit for a purchase, for investments, whatever that is, you have that instrument available. So when you look at what we're doing, we're basically partnering with local licenses all over the globe, so we can enable all the services respecting local jurisdictions. But at the same time, it's not just about having those partners, because that's what you're going to see in the first wave. A bunch of, stack of partners providing payments or providing loans or credits with that very complex underwriting. Who are you? Where are you from? Where is this money coming from? Why? And our objective, I've been in payments for my entire life, and I'm old already. This experience of underwriting is actually the complicated part. It's not the technology these days. It's not the access these days, but the underwriting, understanding the rule, understanding what the regulators want to protect,
right,
and following that, and ensuring that you can do that on behalf of your partner. Because if your partner have to do that, they need to understand your customer, and we understand our customers. They don't. So we are now doing this process where we basically underwrite on behalf of our partners in the jurisdictions where we're launching the card, which is about 90 countries all over the world. And in those locations, we, Tangem Pay, which is separate from an entity perspective and from Tangem, just to make sure we keep privacy respected from the user side, we can actually underwrite on behalf, which means by enabling underwriting, I can enable additional services. And additional services can be lending, credit, and different instruments that might require license, access, or know your customer capabilities.
Wow. So as you were talking, I just threw this up as a point of reference, because when you talk about the underwriting and then how it is as far as like privacy, this is an ongoing story. This is Jack Mahler's and using the Lightning Network, and it looks like he has been essentially debanked by JP Morgan. And this was supposed to end with Operation Choke Point 2.0 going away with the new administration, but it's not. So when you talk about like the ability for privacy and underwriting and to be able to be that partner, I think, again, it's good you're here to inform me and my viewers, because I don't see the big picture. And now I kind of see where things are going and trying to take a little bit of freedom back, and the services that we should all be privy to, as opposed to just having one centralized individual or group of individuals say, you can have it, you can't have it, I'm taking that away.
Oh, and if you look at the way these companies operate, I mean, they have a generic process. Whenever you mention the word crypto, then there is a pop-up of questions, regardless if they know who you are, if they dealt with you for your entire life. They still need to go through this question, because somebody says if you don't ask all these questions, you cannot actually move to the next page, and to the next page, and to the next page, and it becomes an endless process. So, and whereas on chain, the beauty of being born on chain and trying to build banking on chain is that we know, well, all transactions are traceable. You can actually see the origin of transactions, and you can monitor the customer, and you can, once he spend, you can see if he's a legit customer or not from his behavior. So there's so many ways that you can actually do monitoring these days. It no longer needs the old fashioned going through 500,000 questions, which, by the way, every fraudster in the world know the answers by heart. So it's the most shame, process that only tackles the good citizens of the world, not the bad guys. They know how to go through this.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a pretty easy process, because if there's anybody who wants to get around the system, it would be the fraudsters, and those are the ones that are. And like I've said before, I think they're the best investors out there, because they don't have to put any skin in the game. All they have to do is just time and rip people off. So that is exactly. So Marcos, that is like taking us. No, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, exactly. I mean, I completely agree.
Yeah. So like now we've taken a look at the big vision for Tangem. So thank you about what's actually going on, what's coming down the pipe. And before we get into Tangem Pay, just real quick, you were talking about loans, banking service, and some other things. We already have yield with staking and things like that. When is this coming to Tangem? Are we talking about 2027, 2028, or when is this? And then walk us through like what it would be like for a typical like business to be able to do everything through you guys.
Yeah. So basically, the way we would do it right now is you basically get a Tangem account. We have the cold wallet. We don't have the hot wallet yet. So that means we were going the direction of cold. You get a cold account, and then you can basically say, I want to subscribe for the payment card as a customer for now, not the business yet, but starting with the customers. And then once you go through the KYC process, which takes about roughly 5 minutes, essentially we want to have your name, last name, address, and then your life check and your ID. You're pretty much ready to go. And then you can essentially swap funds from your Tangem account directly to your spending account. One thing that is very important to explain is that we have decided to separate both worlds. The wealth sits on the hardware wallets, or you in fact use the hardware for both, but meaning it's a separate account from the other one. One is private, unknown. We have no access. Nobody has any access to it. And the payment account, it's still DeFi. It's still self-custodian, but it is a known account. So we know who you are. So if you try to do, you have a problem with your app, and then you say, I have a problem, we're still going to continue to say, hey, Mr. Customer, let us know what's the problem. Let us help you. But if you are inside of Tangem Pay and you said you have a problem, then you're going to be linked to the separate team, segregated team that basically knows that that card belongs to you, and then help you with it.
Well, first
of all, we're making a very separate world, because that might create friction to the users, and we want to make sure that it's very clear.
Yeah, no, I want to, and I'll say this. Thank you for separating those, because I always see Tangem Card as like the vault, as like the bank, and then Tangem Pay can be like kind of like a hot piece, and you can do payments and stuff like that. When I have everything together and I'm just taking everything from the vault, it scares me. So I need to have that separated. So that makes sense. So now that we've talked about that, the overall vision, and it looks like, and then time frame again, what we're looking at for like loans and stuff like that.
Q1, Q2 next year, we start with the additional products and growth.
Okay, Q1, Q2, sounds good. Hey, that's when the big bull run's supposed to start. That's what everybody tells me. Anyhow, we'll see if that happens. But let's talk about Tangem Pay and then get to the heart of it. So Tangem Pay, how does this work? How is this set up? I think we covered a lot actually already. Yeah, like you said here, spending accounts stay separate. Where will it be available? US, Latin America, Asia, Pacific, and beyond. And then I think it's this one, like, how does this work? Because it says you don't need to convert fiat, but you need to top up your Tangem Pay account with USDC on the Polygon network. First of all, why'd you guys pick Polygon? Why'd you guys pick USDC and not Tether? And does this all work through the app, or how's this go?
So first of all, we need to start somewhere. And just the easiness of launching. I mean, we can actually deploy in other networks already. We're just not going to do that for now. We can use other types of digital assets like USDT, but we're just not going to do that now. We first want to make sure that let's be good at one way of doing this, and then we can actually move to the next stage. We're not going to be limited to USDC or USDT. In fact, we're going to be using multi-currency accounts. So if you have BRLA, Euro E, Euro C, GBPE, up to you, you can put it there and you're going to be able to spend it. So look at what is, again, I always refer this as we are providing the private banking services to regulars. Essentially, you're going to have multi-currency stables where you can spend with them without having FX conversion. That's how this product is going to evolve. So if you're a global traveler and you're spending in different countries, you can actually control your cost of currency by basically buying prior, or you hold balance in the given country of your choice, USDC, USDT, whatever, and then you can just spend, and then you actually use the Visa conversion to get into your balance in dollars. But effectively, it's exactly the same as a JP Morgan card or I don't know, whatever, Bank of America,
Yeah.
It will behave exactly the same. You won't be dealing with fiat conversions or stable conversions, and there's no gas fees in between, and there's no cost of swap in between. It is just the effects of either the network, or you can do the effects prior to that, which is not there yet, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, and that was the issue. Like when I go to like certain, I mean, it's rare, but there are places that would say, "Hey, we accept Ethereum, or we accept Cardano, or we accept Bitcoin." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we can do that, but I'm going to have to pay for those transaction fees." And if it's like Ethereum, especially when we're in the bull market, I'm like, I don't want to pay $9 for a beer that costs $6. So so you guys are able to not have those fees somehow magically.
So we have this Y1 network first, Y Polygon. We have partnered with Polygon. We're taking the cost of gas fees, and then the user do not have to think about it. So for the user is, a card just like this, and
nice.
It's ready. You go and you tap into the terminal, and then it's going to withdraw dollars from my account. And if I spend in dollars, it's 1-to-1. $20 is $20 out of my account. $100 is $100 out of my account. And if you are in Europe, you're going to have the exchange rate between euros and dollars, and Visa is helping with the FX using the standard Visa FX.
Yeah, Visa is going to get, I'm going to guess that Visa in some way, shape, or form is going to get paid for some type of transactional cost. Am I wrong here?
For the FX, Visa sell the services like for every bank in the world. The way, are you familiar with the payment revenue stream, how it works? So when you're spending $100 in a terminal, the merchant gets 98, 97.
Right. Yeah. I used to own small businesses, and yeah, it happens to us.
So the $3, $2 difference, depending on where you are in the world, maybe $1 in Europe is 20 cents or 20 bips. In that case, it would be, that is basically going to pay the issuer, which is going to pay the acquirer, and which is the one providing the terminal to you, and the Visa scheme. So that revenue, basically the business model is all based on that revenue, not actually adding fees on top of it.
Okay. So I guess, and then we'll see what the fees are and what Visa wants to do. Because I like when we would do things, it was either like 1.9 or 2.9% plus a 30 cents per transaction fee. It was pretty crazy.
No. You're gonna go on the tops. You have like depending on, this is truly depends on the currency. If you go to Mexico pesos, it depends on the demand. It can go even up to 400 basis points to 4%, depending on the time of the year, season, whatever. But on average, between dollars and euros, you have between 15 to 50 basis points.
Okay. And then when you showed your phone, you had the Visa card right there. As far as safety, one of the things that I liked about Tangem is when I got into it, and why I don't use others, is people would say, well, aren't you worried, Rob, if you drop your phone, someone picks up your phone and like they can spend all your crypto? I'm like, no, because first of all, they need the card, as far as like to scan it. And second of all, they need either my face or they need my PIN code to get into it. So when you held up your Visa, is it the same thing? We're using some type of biometrics, or are we using PIN codes, or how does that work to unlock it?
It's just the Apple Pay. I basically do the Apple Pay, select the card, and then it's just the Apple Pay wallet.
And then you just
and then I tap. And if I lose my phone, everything is. First of all, they would need my access code to my Tangem app,
right?
Because that's basically where I have my all my funds. And then your biggest exposure, it will be if they have your PIN code or your face. I mean, again, it's yes, you always have those limitations when you're using the phone instead of the card itself. But what we saw it is, again, if you go into practicality, wealth, you make sure that you have all the difficult parameters in the world with the physical card being there. On the spending, we think if we create such a difficult process, adoption is going to be very low, because not everybody needs to do that for $100. You don't want to do double tap for $100. You don't want to reconfirm something that you already confirmed for $100. So I think that's what we think it's different on the spending side, and yeah,
makes sense to me. Okay, well, yeah, and that's a big thing. If we can have security, I mean, it's great that we can do all these cool stuff, but if we don't have security, you know, what are we doing here? So thank you for that. And then lastly, well, two things. First of all, if you got questions for Marcos, everybody, just go ahead and type them into the comment section and I'll read them out to him. But then the second thing is, I will say that I'm impressed with, and it's a funny thing because in crypto, we talk about utility and the utility case and how important that is. But yet you see things that are going on with Polygon and the Polygon network. You guys have partnered with them. You're having a legitimate service that can be used today, day one, Tangem Pay. You've got Poly Market, which is the largest prediction market out there, and it's run on Polygon. And it's just amazing to me that like it's such a, Polygon itself is such a laggard of a type of crypto. So just a quick question, like again, like did you guys take a look at Polygon and say we want to do this because of the cost and how fast it is, or was it some other type of factor?
For us, it was two things. Essentially, we wanted to make sure that we have the user would not pay for the gas fees.
That's big.
So it was a solution that we could, you know, have a good partnership around that. And I think, what is it that we're trying to prove? This should be exactly the same as a bank account.
Right.
And you don't pay whatever amount of pennies just to move your, you know, your money with your card. You can pay for the transaction, you can pay, you know, whatever additional things, but money should move for the price, you know, that you're spending. It should be $100, $100. It's not $100.01. And I think for us, proving that first use case was very important. Subsequently to that, we will see also, I mean, we can launch in different networks already in Q1. We just don't want to do that yet, to be honest. It's ready for that, but we just, the more complexity you bring into, like the more networks you bring, the less control you're going to have on this process to help the user. Because one thing for you guys to understand, I've been doing this for some time now. This second company I'm founding in this space. If you, not many users understand the different networks, so they send money and they don't realize they send to network A, they send to network B.
Right.
And this happened very frequent. And the number of customer support ticketings that you get, where's my money? My money disappeared. What happened? I mean, this is a scam. And then you say, where did you send to? You sent the visitor. Well, this is actually a Gnosis chain, not a Polygon chain, or this is not a base chain. So, you know, and people still are not familiar with the complexity of this network stuff. I think that's one thing. Second, it's very easy for us to migrate. So the more we see where the users are coming from, the easier it is for us to basically say, okay, let's just launch the specific account to that network, and then we create different colors cards. I think this is something that we're going to learn throughout this year. But Polygon has been a good partner so far. I think they have the ambition to lead in this space. I think they have lots of, obviously, to improve, but it can be quite good. We have a very decent amount of active customers. I think we're going to push them a lot, just based on the customer base that we have. And let's see how they behave.
Let's see. Well, I mean, look, they're doing good things. It's just astounding to me. Like I always look at them, and I look at Chainlink as well. I'm like, why does this? It's, you know, there's real utility. It just kind of seems like it's a bit of a laggard. But then just to piggyback on what you talk about as far as like safety, I just saw this today. This is from Scam Sniffer, Web3 anti-scam. Someone lost 182,000 worth of Tether after assigning a phishing-approved transaction. This is why it's so important to have some type of security and something that actually can stand the test of time, because if not, who cares how much things go up if you lose it because of scammers and the thing that you just talked about, Marcos. So Marcos, that was a great breakdown. I appreciate it. Now what we'll do is we'll get into like a little Q&A, and everybody who's got questions, just go ahead. So the first thing we got here, well, Meme says, Polygon looks like a bargain at this point, which I think that he or she is correct. Oh, I know it's a she actually. And yeah, probably because I think Meme might have a couple of Polygon in her portfolio. Trusts asked the question.
But I can say one thing. The good news is you don't need the poll. That's a good part of it. We're paying for you. So as long as you are basically, when you swap using the Tangem wallet, and you spend using the Tangem Pay card, I'm not asking you to put any poll. No, zero.
See, there you go.
So that makes it very interesting. So I want to make sure that we help you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes it interesting and cheap. That's the big thing. And I wonder, you know, because Cash App, they just rolled it out where you can pay in Bitcoin payments, and it's free for like the first 3 months for merchants. I wonder how that's, you know, going to do for merchants and Visa. They'll probably give them if they give them like a massive discount to use that, why wouldn't they just use, you know, they would, if I was a small business account, I'd be like, hey, you know, I accept Tangem Pay here, and because it's less, I'll give you a discount if you use your Tangem Pay. I would think that would be like a thing to do.
Well, this is the concept of cashback with the merchant partnership directly. Now, what happens is we settle to Visa in USDC. Yeah. So I send USDC to Visa, or the user will send, because we don't touch the funds. So the user sends USDC directly to Visa. Visa basically converts into fiat, and then it, you know, pass through to the acquirer. The acquirer basically sends to the merchant fiat deposit. What you will see eventually, because we're now in that move where every issuer is starting to see the needs of having a stable coin card account or something like. Then the next phase is the acquirers recognizing that instead of having this partnership directly with Visa, they can do partnerships with Circle, USDT, and other stables directly, just as a payment scheme in their network. So once the terminal recognizes the BIN, and the BIN holds, BIN is basically the identification of the card. So once the card, you know, you tap the terminal, it says, hey, wait a second, this account is a USDC account from Visa. Rather than calling Visa, he can call Circle and say, can you please authorize this transaction? That's what you're going to see, the evolution on the other side. So once they understand they can actually play this game, and I don't want to go technical here, but you essentially have a way to do this, because Visa allows to have a dual message versus single message. So you can split this communication. You can actually enable much cheaper and disruptive solutions to have the issuer talking directly to the merchant or to the acquirer without the need of the network.
You know, and I always thought to myself, like that website I showed with the Visa on-chain analytics, I always thought, you know, Visa's smart to get in front of this, because if they just let this happen, they don't want to get blockbustered. They want to be a part of it. And of course, with them doing these things now, I can see why they did it so long ago. This isn't like they just started this months ago. So, okay, makes a lot of sense. How about this question here? What's the daily and monthly spending limit? Now, for here in the States, if you're spending anything over like $10,000, the banks are always asking you, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with that? Not that I do that all the time, but I'm just saying it does happen. So do we have any daily, monthly spending limits here, or is that just like whatever?
I'm actually looking right now. POS limit, 50,000 daily, annually 10 million.
Okay, so for some of you people that have 50,000 just laying around, that is That is your limit. Okay. Let's see what
Yes.
else we got. Also, New Type says, will a privacy feature be rolled out in Tangem? I think this question comes because there is a big, huge push recently for privacy. Just take a look at the Zcash price appreciation. So as far as like privacy feature, have you guys talked about that? Is that something in the works, or are you guys just is that even on a roadmap?
I can. So again, let me separate the two worlds: from the payment side and from the cold wallet side. Okay. On the payment side, authorizations are done off-chain, and clearing and settlement, which means, have you done this transaction? Which is okay, so it's cleared, and then you settle, and meaning, okay, this transaction has been approved. This transaction now needs to go all the way to Visa and the merchant. And for clearing and settlement is on chain. The mathematical probability that you can connect an authorization with clearing and settlement in the way we have done today, you are Rain Man, or beyond Rain Man. So it would take very difficult step for you to get there. Privacy on the sense of your transaction being sniffed, your account being, connected with your payment account. We are secure, and we think we have robust protection there. If you're talking about on the KYC level, payment products will always be KYC'd. And that's just, if you want to participate in the local economy, we have to respect the local economy rules. If you want a card in the US, that's a requirement, and we're going to do it. And if one country in the world says no KYC is needed here, super happy to issue in that country. But that will be, but unfortunately, we will have to follow those rules.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we got to do it. It's just how it is. How about this one? I guess this is kind of a hypothetical. What's the future look like without Visa involved? And is that even a possibility for Visa just to say, we got blockbustered and we're just going to step aside?
I would encourage, it would give me, I would stay an hour talking about this topic here, because I'm one of those guys that would not encourage anyone to think the world is best without Visa. Because the way you have to look at it, 130 million merchants,
right,
in nearly 200 countries, operating smoothly, like making sure that they're all at the same time evolving technology-wise, so you can walk freely, from one country to another without bringing anything, just your phone. It's a lot of work, and that is not our main problem. Our main problem doesn't sit there. Our main problem is a mainframe system, which is the majority of the card payment transactions in the world. 92% of global card transactions talk to a mainframe system. So an iPhone that can, be used in 2030 needs to talk to a system of 1950 that has legacy backends, which from the 70s and 80s. And the main reason why this is an issue is that you have so many aggregators in between.
Right.
For my transaction to go from me to you in your business with a card payment, we have at minimum these days 15 players in between getting a fee of the transaction.
See,
so Visa is not the issue.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think people are just like, do I want to kill the roads because I like electric cars? No, I want electrical cars and I want roads. So it's just that we're trying to kill the pipes. I need the pipes. We don't have an alternative. And the problem is not about having blockchain as accessible. You have to think about the small merchant, the mamas and the papa shops. They are not techie. They don't understand Bitcoin. They just want to receive money. And the more types of money they can receive, the more they can sell. And that problem is resolved. So so I think we need to, and again, and maybe I'm killing people's I'm becoming a bad guy here, but I am much more about my fight is against the inefficiency of money movement, not Visa. I think Visa is, a good partner to have right now. There's still enough usage. We can still use them for a long time. But the inefficiency must be killed. There's so many Garfields being fed, doing nothing in the process.
I mean, no, I don't think, by Marcus, by you saying like, this is the reason why these transaction fees are so high, it's because these 15 mainframes in between, it's not the Visa issue. Visa is just the connector. And these mainframes guys, the ones that they essentially wet their beak, everybody gets a little piece of the pie. That's the problem. That's where that 2 to 3% transaction and all these different transaction fees. It's, it's the same thing if we talk about this with like phone service. And actually being able to connect you to, like, if I call you in Portugal and say, I want to talk to Marcos, there's these different hops, and every different player gets a little piece of that for the transaction charge from the mainframe. So I think that's what World Mobile is supposed to do, and Minutes are supposed to do. So I can see where this would come in and go, okay, well, if we have somebody who actually does it, this is good.
And if I can be more visual on this, imagine that the relationship back in the days was between you and me. You were the seller, I'm the buyer. Yeah. And then the banks came in between and say, hey, I can help you, just to guarantee that you're getting what you were what you're willing to buy, and you're selling what you're supposed to sell. And then perfect, that helped. And then at one point you wanted to do this cross-border, and then Visa came to place and say, I can help, this 5-party connect. The one that wants to buy, the ones that want to sell, the bank in the country A and bank country B, and then Visa. But what happens afterwards is that the banks became lazy to evolve in their technology, and they are always like, let me hire the extra player to support the next connection with the next technology, simply because I cannot do that myself. And the problem became so big that now the extra player became a Garfield that said, well, let me hire the extra player because I'm no longer I don't want to do that myself. It's like you have a house, and then your maid hire, 5 layers of maid to clean your house because, she's getting so well paid that she doesn't longer need to clean the house. She's doing home office. From this moment onwards.
Yeah, that's a pretty good business person. I'll give it to him for that.
Exactly. So and the whole point is we need to kill it. We need to kill the inefficiency, and that's what we need to do. And we need to reset the button. And I think that's what we can do with Stable right now. We can reset the button, reduce these boundaries, and restart banking from a much cleaner stack. But it must have interoperability, because if I go all over the world and I try to integrate a new on-chain banking to every single merchant out there, it's generational job. Yeah.
It's so ingrained. Hey, how about this question right here? When is this coming? Because we talk about the rollouts for Tangem Pay. So it's America, Latin America, USA, Latin America, and then what was the third one? Is it available in Europe and non-EU countries?
So when in Europe, we expect to be in the latest scenario Q2 next year.
Q2.
Yes.
There's a lot going on Q2.
So it's more approvals and rather than the technology itself. Remember that on chain, the beautiful thing is different than the traditional world. It's composable. Sometimes you develop, sometimes you partner, but essentially everybody's on chain. So it's very easy to integrate with one another. Getting that offer fully verified and certified by a regulator saying, this is how I want to do it, takes a lot more time than the actual tech stack to get it in place. So we have been playing with this composability for a long time already. It's more like enabling the services and getting the approval from the parties that allows us to serve with the services. So Europe at this point is a license problem. It's not a technology problem.
It's always paperwork. It's always something that comes down to the minutia. So
exactly.
Yeah. A couple of last questions. I know we're going kind of long here. I apologize. LMT says, off topic, but has anybody received a letter from Ledger in the past week or so about an update? Not so much that we get as far as like updates for Ledger, but be careful because Ledger has these things going out. And I just saw this in my feed. Someone sent this to me. The scammers have your address. There was a data leak. And because of that, you're going to get these letters and there's going to be QR codes and there's going to be links. And if you do that, you're going to lose all your funds. So just be aware that Ledger, whatever happened over there, they're going to send this thing out and you're going to get scammed. So always go to the source and go from there. And then lastly, what you got?
May I just do one link here?
Sure.
In Tangem Pay, that's the reason why we're separating Tangem from Tangem Pay.
Yeah.
It's a complete different backend. So you will never get anything from, like, we will never know your address in Tangem. We'll never know your phone number or your name and nothing associated. So never, ever, it's fully private. Tangem Pay is a completely separate infrastructure that has its own life. Even it's deployed in the US, not in Europe. So it's completely different backend for it. So
perfect.
Please be aware that you'll never get anything from Tangem related to such things.
Yeah, and if you get something like this, any kind of letter from anywhere, what I would always do is, you take a picture, throw it in the ChatGPT, and just say, hey, is this a scam? And so far, everything I've done with ChatGPT has been 100% correct for scams. Now, ChatGPT is wrong every so often, but if you want to double check, that's the way. And then lastly, I think this is a good one. Will this card be able to get a refund? How long would it take to get refunds? So you go to a vendor, they say, yeah, I'll take the stable coins. You do the stable coins and then you come back and say, hey, this food sucked or this product was awful. How does that work for refunds?
Exactly the same as traditional cards.
Oh, nice.
So whatever amount of days that vendor will tell you, our process takes 3 to 5 days. Our process takes 20 days. Our process takes 24 hours. That's exactly what you're going to get with the card. Nothing different. The beautiful thing is, and I hope your audience recognize this. We are your new bank. We'll never talk in this way. We'll never promote in this way. But in reality, banking now is, companies like ours. That's the best way of doing banking these days. And people are going to recognize maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the subsequent year, but I don't think it will take much longer than that.
Yeah, or you could be like Jack Mallers and get debanked from JP Morgan. So everybody, that is it for today. I want to thank Marcos for stopping by. Marcos, as things get roll along and we get into Q1, Q2, we'll have you back. You can tell us about what's happening. But that is it. Now, there's a link in the description for all the things that we talked about today. There is an affiliate link in the description for Tangem Pay, meaning you get a discount. I get a little something. If you can't stand affiliate links, that's fine. Just go to tangem.com. But you don't get the nice little sign-up bonus. So that's it for today, everybody. I want to say thanks to Marcos for stopping by. And then, Marcos, any last words of wisdom for the crypto connoisseur out there that is going through a tough times in the markets?
I am the tech guy. I'm not the prediction guy. But what I've seen at least so far is that it will always go up because of scarcity. So I'm the long-term guy. You're gonna see me exactly what we talked about it. Hold, buy and hold, buy and hold.
Buy and hold.
That's it.
Marcos may be the tech guy, but he understands the whole thing about timing. What you talked about here about getting into the banking sector, it just takes time. It might be a generational effect, but it is worth it. So just stick around. If you don't like what things are doing right now, just wait, they'll change. Anyhow, that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, sir. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.